Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and Harley lovers around the world, welcome back to the Knuckles Up podcast, presented by Sykes Harley-Davidson. Knuckles Up is a dive into the world of all things Harley-Davidson, recorded at the illustrious Sykes Harley-Davidson, the South Coast's premier destination for Harleys, nestled in the beautiful Sussex South Downs. I got through it.
Wow.
I know. I'm actually getting good at this stuff. Right. I am Elliot from Sykes Harley-Davidson. I will be your host through this wonderful journey of Harley-Davidson. See that? I say I've got through it and then I go and mess up.
Yep.
The Knuckles Up podcast usually drops on the last Friday of the month. You can watch and subscribe over on the Sykes H-D YouTube channel, and you can listen wherever you get your podcasts. If you managed to tune into our last episode, you would have seen me in a sling, which I'm thankfully no longer needed. Look at me waving. I am on the road to recovery after breaking my collarbone, which has thrown things out of sync ever so slightly for the podcast, but we're still cracking on. We are still providing you with some Knuckles Up content, and normal service shall resume moving forwards, hopefully. That's going to be famous last words. So following on from our first episode, I'm joined again by dealer principal of Sykes Harley-Davidson, Mr. Steve Willis.
Hello, everyone.
The reason I've got Steve back on the show is we are going to discuss the wide world of HD certified approved used bikes. So for anyone that isn't already aware, Sykes is the home to the UK's largest selection of HD certified approved used bikes. Tripping over already. I'm good at this tripping up malarkey. It's almost like we've done podcasts before, right?
Yeah.
Like I say, we are the home to the UK's largest selection of HD certified approved used bikes, and we are proud to have an incredibly extensive offering. But for the everyday person, what does that actually mean? So when you own a Harley-Davidson motorcycle, obviously the expectations are sky high, justifiably so, and especially so when it comes to HD certified approved used bikes. But beyond that tagline, Steve, you can obviously input on this. What does it mean to have a HD certified approved used label on a bike?
Well, this is a big question. Obviously, with HD certified, you get all the benefits of buying from a dealer. You get the warranty, you get the 110-point check. You know it's been looked after by a skilled and trained Harley-Davidson technician. So there's that confidence in there. And I guess when we were talking about what we should do podcasts on, something for me as dealer principal in this business and a businessman, if you like, is what the expectation of the end user, the customer, the client is with an approved Harley-Davidson. As I say that, I mean, what sort of condition is that expectation? I'm quite a OCD kind of guy. I like to be, I'm OCD in the mind, but I don't practice it very well in my own life.
I've just got to quickly do my podcast guy and make sure you're talking into the microphone.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, so with the used bikes, the certified bikes, it's kind of like, what is the customer expectation? Sorry for repeating myself, but we prepare the bike. We do a 110-point check. We make sure the bike is serviced. We MOT the bike. We check the history. We make sure everything's up to date. But then there's the and like, do the customers expect any paint marks? Do the customers expect any blemishes in the chrome? Do the customers expect a tire to be, replaced, or a couple of thousand miles is enough? I know we have the sort of certified levels from Harley-Davidson, but to me, I'm reaching out and asking myself, because obviously as a business, to do good business, you need to buy right and sell right, and it's the in between that counts. If you spend thousands, if you buy a bike at a good price, but then you spend thousands refurbishing it, and you just wash your face from it, that's not good business. You deliver a high-end used bike, but you haven't made any money doing so. So I always question the level we should go to, because I know, because I run the team, if you like, what my expectation is. I wouldn't want to buy a bike with a huge a paint mark around the rear fender tip, or bubbling around the front fender or chrome lifting around a rocker housing or stuff like that. But obviously that costs a lot of money to refurbish. There's hours, there's paint, and these costs obviously erode your profit margin. But then I have dealt with customers who are like, can't see it, and everyone's expectation is so different, and everyone's level of what they deem to be the word that used a lot, mint, showroom condition. I mean, I'm gonna like jump around here, but obviously I'm responsible for buying a lot of the used bikes for our fleet. So I will go out and find a bike, and that's why I think we've got such a good mix of bikes from year 2000 and before onwards up to present day. And we will buy interesting bikes, we will buy rare bikes, we will refurbish everything, and we make sure they're good condition and, in our opinion, to the expectation of the end user being Harley-Davidson certified. But jumping around again, when I buy them, obviously we buy them blind.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I deal with people and the history's there. It's one owner and it's mint condition. You could wheel it straight into the showroom. You don't need to spend any money on this bike. And they believe this to be the fact.
Yeah.
But when it rolls out the van, emoji over my, I'm like, oh no. And thus the journey begins of refurbishment and the downward spiral of the profit. We are about delivering, so you take the good with the bad. And, I wouldn't say we're a truly profit-focused company, as bad as that sounds in a business sense, but we believe the profit will come naturally through good business, repeat business, and doing things right. So I know I've waffled on there. I mean, do you get what I'm saying?
I think there's a lot of detail that you've gone into there. Yeah. Obviously, that's kind of within...
I've got it off my chest.
Yeah, that's within the Sykes four walls. But from a customer perspective, you've got, you go HD certified used, you Google it, it forwards you to the Harley-Davidson website, and then you've basically got, mandatory things that are on there, which is an expectation. So you've spoken about a few different details there, but let's start off with 110 point check. So to me, I've got a base understanding of what the guys do in the workshop. I see the day-to-day side of stuff. But if I was a consumer coming to you, what actually is a 110 point check? Like there's obviously a lot of detail in there.
Yeah.
And that comes across as quite extensive. But no two bikes are ever going to be alike. But what does 110 point entail to the everyday consumer?
Well, I guess, basically the 110 point check is mechanical and electrical. Yeah. Making sure everything works as it should. Nothing is frayed on the cable side. Tires are above a certain limit, but it doesn't count for cosmetics. And that's what a lot of people buy from.
Yeah.
They buy, they want a solid bike, of course, and they expect the service history and the mechanical and everything about that side to be 100%. But it's further than that. It's the acorn nuts on the mirrors. It's the chrome on the engine covers. It's the paint on the fenders. As I've said, it's about a solid fat boy wheel looking tired. What level do we go to? And I'm not here to argue and to get feedback so I can drop our standards. I'm just interested to speak about it, to see what people's standards are like. We sell bikes, and we might sell a bike at less than we would normally because it's tired. And we can see with the margin that we have and the money we would need to put into it that it would turn it upside down on the profit side. So we sell it like, this is this price because the wheels are a little bit tired, the blister here on the fender, blah blah blah. But and people don't sometimes even I'm not bothered about that. I don't even see that.
So that 110 point check, that's obviously mandatory from Harley-Davidson, but how many points do you think are added to that just for bikes that come into Sykes? Because you've spoken about, the detailing, paintwork, little kind of nuts and bolts that ultimately are aesthetics or cosmetics, don't necessarily affect the day-to-day running of the bike, but is still very much, an encompassed part of being a Harley-Davidson owner. Like the people that we have here customer-wise, it's pride and joy.
Yeah.
And when it's kind of like handed off as a, HD certified used bike, like how much of that is actually added on just for it to be a Sykes certified used bike, do you think?
It's probably a 220 point check. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot more detail, and we always are QCing and looking for those visible things that to me aren't satisfactory, even though they're not in the checklist. I mean, if the powder coating is blistered or slightly corroded on, say, a blacked out Slim S on the brake pedal and shifters, we tend to do them. It's not like, well, it's used, and I've heard that expression in the network before. Shrug the shoulders, it's a used bike. And that is correct, because if you want concours, if you want pristine, you buy new. That's the way a lot of dealers would see it. But if you bought I always use these sort of analogies. If you bought a used Bentley, I'd expect it to look like a new Bentley, but with old plates. If I was in that market, I wouldn't expect to open the door and see the leather cracked and split, and the salesperson say, it's a used Bentley, sir. What do you expect? It's done 30, 40,000 miles. It's going to have wear and tear. If they explained it to me, I would agree, but I'm in that industry. But, the clientele for that, without being involved in the mechanics and the costs and the upholstering, they don't care about that. They want it like new, like pristine. And it's such a, where does that line stop? Where do you go? That's enough.
There's also disparity between a bike that's, you've said, some stuff like early 2000. I think officially is it 15 years for it to be given a tag as HD certified approved?
I believe it's been extended now,
But obviously, if you've got, say, a Nightster with 1,500 miles on the clock that has barely been ridden compared to like something, a 2010 lowrider or something to that extent, there's obviously going to be a lot of difference between it.
Yeah.
But I guess.
But then we go like at Sykes, and this isn't a podcast to sell our wares, if you like. I guess it's to.
If anyone does buy stuff off the podcast, it's obviously a bonus for us.
To me, it's more understanding where we stand a bit proud on what we do. For instance, 2003 anniversary bikes, like say for instance a Fat Boy. And we have these bikes in. I've said it before, I say it again. The older stuff, like the early twin cams, if you like, hold a place in my heart. Started 2002, the first bikes I sold were anniversary. So I guess there's that romance for me. But I know for John as well, he likes the old stuff. His favourite bike out of his collection is a 2003 anniversary Fat Boy.
It's a good looking bike.
He rode it to Prague and home, and he could have had a choice of a CVO, Road Glide or whatever. But we have like things like a Fat Boy 2003 anniversary, say 10,000 miles on it, but we've refurbed it. And our refurb is dropping the wheels out, chemically treating them, repolishing them, putting new bearings in, fresh rubber, because of the age and, obviously sometimes wear and tear, obviously. Rear fender tip, that would need painting because everyone backs a Fat Boy into the garage wall. And it has always got a little dink there. You could ask on the phone, it's got a dink on the rear fender. Yeah, how do you know that? And they're looking around. Tending to the paint, and then nuts and bolts on the engine. We replenish the nuts and bolts, or we take them out, have them treated, and then refit them on. That's time consuming. Find the right pipes. If it's got the wrong pipes on, I'll find some Screaming Eagles, which is not an easy task now, and I probably couldn't even magic that now. And then we present it probably 12 grand.
So do you think that that's come about from having such a broad offering of used bikes? Because I guess it's a sense of the more bikes that you have on offer, the more they're going to be compared to each other. As far as the conditions and things like that. Like we said before, no two bikes are alike, but 2022 Nightster sat next to 2005 Fat Boy, they're going to look very different. So is it a case that you've got a sense of pride for Sykes that you want to bring all of those bikes up to a standard that you are proud of, almost as if it's a sense of ownership for ourselves in a way.
I've said it before. I feel like we're a home, like almost a foster home sort of thing. I don't know that that's the right term, but for bikes. So it's like, what's a like dog sanctuary? That's probably a better thing.
Yeah.
Where you like find a home for dogs. We look after these bikes. I say to the sales team, these should be like your babies that you're handing over to people. So you're the carer of them. I know I sound a bit crazy now, but you should care about them, know about every bike that you're dealing with, take care of that bike until handover, and then hand this piece of metal that's loved and cherished over to its new owner to hopefully do the same. And you get abused bikes. This is going all down the wrong way, but you know what I mean. We're carers for the historic bikes. We're carers for the new bikes, and I am a bit extreme on that level, which I hope does rub off onto the guys. It's not. We haven't got the sort of that do attitude.
Yeah.
Just give it a wash and spray it with silicone and stick it on a forecourt.
So that goes to, there's obvious points there that are beyond the 110 point check. So again, going back to the official kind of Harley, what you get out of it, we've got things like history checks, we've got HPI checks, insurance database checks. From a consumer perspective, how does that work and why is that needed?
Buyer's confidence.
Yeah.
Buyer's confidence, general safeguard all round, isn't it? Because obviously you're safeguarding the rider's safety.
Yeah.
And you're also making sure that all the warranty programs and everything that are set up with the bikes are confident.
Yeah.
Because they've been through the workshop, they're prepared, they've been checked. So if they were good on that day and then there was a failure up the road, the warranty company is happy that it's been all approved and signed off by each technician, and then happy obviously to look after that bike and cover that.
Yeah.
Otherwise they hemorrhage money if it's just like.
So you talk about like the component guarantee. We've got 12-month comprehensive mechanical and electrical component guarantee as standard with any HD certified approved used bike. Again, if I'm a naive customer, is that the expectation that guarantee is parts already on the bike, or are parts perhaps changed prior to being listed as a certified approved used bike to ensure that it is to a standard? There's obviously going to be differences there, but again, from a kind of naive, I'm my first Harley kind of thing, like what's the expectation there?
I'm lost on that one.
Am I got a bit lost on your question?
Yeah, it's a big question.
So if it is a case of 12 months comprehensive mechanical, electrical component guarantee, is that effectively what's already on the bike, or will you do stuff to get it up to the 110 point check standard and then allow it to kind of go?
Well, if there's any like faults on the bike, obviously we attend to them. Yeah. If there's any wear and tear that we think will be an early failure, we tend to what do they say? Cure it before the failure. There's another term.
Prevention before cure. Yeah.
Easy one. Prevention better than cure is best all round. Best for our reputation and best for the enjoyment of buying a pre-owned certified Harley-Davidson from Sykes.
I didn't deliver that question particularly well. If this is me like writing stuff down, being like, what can I do to?
Well, there's so much to cover. I'm here most days. I would love like a feedback from customers. Just come and grab me and say, I listen to podcasts. I hopefully understand what you're saying. This is what I would expect, because like I said, I'm not going to alter my vision, but it's nice to know you're on the right road.
Well, that's kind of what sparked this, this part of this discussion for part of the podcast, because we have had people asking, what actually goes into it, and especially with the amount of bikes that we have here in any given week. I think the peak at one point was like 90 odd bikes in stock across new and used. So there's obviously a lot. And for people to kind of come in and see such a wide range of bikes and to know what the expectations are, I think that's kind of like what we're trying to convey across. Although that you've got those base taglines in there on the Harley website, from a customer perspective, what does actually that entail? And I guess, that pride of everything that we've got for both new, used, collectives, like whatever that might be, that's where that reputation comes in. And it's not something that's happened overnight, is it? I mean, you obviously have built that up over time. So is it a sense of you'll always look for bikes that you think fit with the Sykes remit as far as good quality bikes that don't necessarily require a lot of work, or will you kind of take a look at anything?
I'm prepared for work, especially with some of the rarer bikes that we have, and obviously we've got the skills here, and we know what to do to make something good again, like the fat boys that I've talked about. Talk about people coming in, because we do a lot of remote selling as well. Like we would deliver a used bike with 30,000 miles on perhaps to someone in Glasgow. It's got to be right. Or if it's not right because it's not doable, as in say an anniversary V-Rod went out and the airbox cover had a slight, like the top cover has like dented. It's impossible to repair that.
Yeah.
You can't repair it, especially on the aluminium ones. It's like double skinned. You can't get behind it. So a dent is a dent. That's part of its history. That's the scar.
Yeah.
But obviously that's got to be communicated as well. So it's also it's preparation of the bikes, but then going off another tangent, it's preparation of the customer in what they are buying from Sykes. So that's another, I guess, training thing that we have in house, if you like. I mean, it's not training. We haven't got a blackboard. We don't draw pictures of airbox covers, but we do talk about communicating all the time. Videos on YouTube, as you know, of each bike we sell. The video is sent, with the bike, or it's listed online on our website with the video on the bike, and we try and video blemishes and all. So that can be again pointed out. If you look at 2 minutes from 43 into the video, you'll see the tank and there's a slight blemish beneath the badge. So we can't do anything about it. It's a bit of a historic. It's a little bit like a story about the bike,
isn't it? Yeah.
But if that goes to Glasgow, no one's mentioned it. No one's even like, oh, it's mint, it's perfect, and it's not. You got a problem. If you had to collect the bike and do something about it, which you can't, then that would cost you £500 already to do on the business sense, there and back, obviously. And then there's we can't do anything as well. So there's awkwardness if you don't communicate. So it's preparation to this level, it's communication to this level, and we don't always get it right.
Well, it's part of that journey, though, isn't it?
But it's a journey of learning, hopefully.
Yeah, and I guess that's a big part of it. So we will take a momentary quick break just while I reset the camera. Again, the glitz and glamour of the fact that we can't record more than 25 minutes on the camera. We'll get there one day. So whether there's a message from our sponsors or I'll just pop up a please stand by, and we will be back momentarily, listeners. So, welcome back, viewers. We've taken our brief camera reset. My headphones have stopped working again. Why are my headphones not working? Technical difficulties. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Mine.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear me. Cool.
Yeah.
So we're back to it. Obviously, we've just been covering some details about H-D certified approved used. I guess the choice is a big thing that really stands out for me as far as obviously what we've got here at Sykes, but also what is available countrywide. I mean, having a look at the H-D certified approved used website through Harley, there is a lot of stuff out there. I mean, it's, a little bit intimidating, I guess. But having that sense of offering from Sykes, I mean, how do you go about it? Like, do you look at like holes that you need to fill, or is it just a case of actually, that's a nice bike, that works for us, we think we can sell it? I mean, what's the approach for you when you go out looking for bikes?
I think definitely holes to fill.
Yeah.
When you've got a popular model and you need to replenish stock, which is again easier said than done.
Yeah.
We are lucky because we do get part exchanges coming in. We're an active dealer. We're selling well, and with that comes part exchanges, and therefore that props your stock up as well. We get offered bikes as well through traders, and we underwrite a lot of bikes again, just through pictures and descriptions. So, our stock is there's always availability to be offered it, and obviously we do on our website and have Sell Your Harley. So people do send pictures in.
There is also, I should touch on the fact that as long as you are listening to this before the 30th of September, there is currently a trade-in, trade-up offer. I'm pulling this away for you ever so slightly, but effectively, if you trade in or part exchange any bike before the 30th of September, you will get an extra £1,000 on top of your part X value or towards a finance deposit allowance against any soft tail. And if you go for any Grand Touring model, you will get £2,000 on top of your PX value or toward your finance deposit contribution. So although we're talking about HD certified used bikes, there are some very, very good deals to be had at the moment on new stock. So be sure to check that out on the website. I'm sorry to pull that away from Steve and make it salesy.
It's all relevant. Yeah. And that's the national campaign? Is
that is indeed, yes.
Yeah, so we extended our campaign, didn't we, on top of last one?
So maybe different stuff. Check with your regional dealer to see what they've got on. But if you do come to Sykes, £1,000 against any soft tail, £2,000 against any Grand Touring bike. But that will be either your PX value on top of or for your finance deposit contribution. All details available on sykeshd.com. I'll be sure to put a link down to the website either in the description of the YouTube or wherever you're getting your podcast from. But yeah, great deals to be had at the moment on Part X. And I guess that's another thing is what's actually bringing bikes in. So although people are perhaps trading in and trading up to a new bike, we're getting an influx of bikes for people bringing that in. So I guess sometimes, although you're looking to fill holes, bikes just land on the doorstep almost.
Because obviously you get natural PXs through new and used, which is always good. People, like you say, move up, move sideways, move down. So, we have, like you say, got a extensive used fleet, but we've always got used bikes arriving. So I would say if someone's looking for a bike, give us a tinkle and say, look, this is what I'm after. I'm after a Fat Boy S or a Slim S in military green, or I want a Revival or a Diablo, or I can't see anything on your website. Have you got any coming in? Or could you let me know when something's coming in? Because a lot of the times, and John Sykes would probably hate to hear this, we've probably got 10 bikes around the place that have just arrived or been here and they haven't had the studio time yet. They haven't been through the workshop, or there's just a hold up. The weather's terrible and we can't move the hundreds of bikes that we have here around like today. It's absolute carnage.
Just trying to find holes for places sometimes. Like it's almost detrimental having that many bikes, is that you just can't put everything in a spot.
We're on a 2-acre site. We've got a big showroom. We've got a 10 bike bay workshop, and we've got a humongous warehouse with a mezzanine, and we still got no space. It's
not a bad problem to have, really.
It's scary. It's a bad problem when you get here early and you've got to move the bikes out. But yeah, that's the thing. And like today, we try and get obviously all the bikes undercover, service bikes, bikes that just come in. We had 2 new bikes arrive today, one being a CVO.
Brand new 121 CVO.
Had to move. It was like a Rubik's Cube, wasn't it? No,
it's imagine doing Tetris, but with a few £100 worth of bike, like weight and everything. And I mean it's
talking about that bike, you're going to do a YouTube on it.
So I think we'll do some coverage on that. We'll definitely see some stuff coming out through all the social media channels. I've already shot some stuff for Facebook and Instagram, which we'll likely see the next couple of days. You'll likely hear this hopefully coming out on Friday, so if you're hearing it before or after, have a look on our social channels. But we'll do some coverage on that beautiful one.
So we have 121 CVO Street Glide in silver here at Sykes for a good few weeks, actually, because the guy's gone away on vacation. So if you want to come and see one, we've got the fuse. We've fused it up, and it's got the power now, so you can see the infotainment system, 12-inch screen.
It's a great looking bike.
It's magnificent. So we'll have that in the showroom after your video. And welcome to come and view it. And see what you think, because I think they're amazing. Having ridden one myself already in Milwaukee, which I was lucky enough to do a couple of weeks back now.
That was all right, wasn't it?
Yeah,
quite the trip, that one. So that's like new bikes, although there's always obviously a plethora of new bikes. I think with all the certified side of things.
Let's go back to
tangents. Business. You're always on tangents, aren't you? I guess looking at what the expectations are, going back to what we feel the expectations are for customers, do you think customer expectation is a lot lower compared to the Sykes expectation as such?
I do actually believe that in a lot of times when I get, because I'm in the workshop a lot and I'm overlooking things, and I see the bikes come in, and I know what we could do to them. We've got a bike that's just come in, and immediately I want to swap the wheels out and do some nice stuff to it, just to put it on the forecourt as I imagine would be the best way of presenting it. So I do believe that what we do goes beyond customer expectation. You may drop the ball here and there. I will be open about that and not meet the customer expectation, but we'll soon put that right. If it's a nut or bolt that the technician missed, and when it got QC'd, it was invisible to the eye, then we will by all means just rectify that. But I think I'm very confident at saying we probably spend, we are the best dealer in the country at delivering high-end used bikes, whatever age.
I guess that comes from...
And that's not putting anyone down. That's just a pride in how much time we put into it.
You can't put anyone else down when most of the stock is sat in our warehouse.
Yeah.
So with, obviously, everything that kind of comes in, we make regular updates to the inventory. You're always on the hunt. The sales guys are always on the hunt. Do you kind of think that there's like following trends as such when you buy things? Or, you said you try and fill holes, but do you try and preempt what might be a popular bike or might become a more sought after bike? Are you trying to sort of plan ahead of yourself? Or are you thinking of like just getting the bikes in to have something that is going to be an easy sell? I mean, what's the perspective difference on that?
I mean, it's hard to buy without being sort of biased in what I like sometimes as well. But I think I would have thought the more retro stuff that we've invested in the past would have flown out quicker than it has.
Yeah.
But it isn't the fastest moving stuff. Like I'm talking early twin cams again and things like that. But you always recognize the customer who buys it as it's been waiting for them.
Yeah.
That they appreciate it, like I guess someone who would buy a vintage watch over a new one. New ones, you've got a vintage watch with a patinage strap and everything, and that's part of the character, like you say. Or there's the safety of new. So when you think you're going to jump on a trend, like I thought the older bikes would fly out, and they didn't. But we are quite patient. We don't have a harsh stocking policy that after a certain amount of days you slash the price and get rid of it. It's waiting for the right person to come along, and these right people do come along because they're so keen. The puppy's wagging its tail. They've met the new owner. It's a perfect match. And when you go and talk to these people who buy the older stuff and can appreciate all the nuts and bolts that you've done to it, etc., they're in that mentality. They've just refurbished a Serial 1 Land Rover themselves, and they live in the past. Yeah. It's kind of like it's not many new people to brand just buy an old bike, because of I guess affordability as well. It's easier to get into the brand and probably more affordable the newer bike you get, because of PCPs and finance and stuff like that as well. But yeah, I do try and get on trends. I know what's very rare out there. I know what's a good seller to repeat. And it's funny how trends change, because you'll have a flight of one family, and then it go quiet, and then it go over here or go over there to the tourers, and then the street glides will be on trend, and 5 of them go out the door at one point. It's interesting, but it's really hard to
finger on the pulse.
To get the pulse completely right. It's a bit erratic and probably needs a little bit of a.
So you've mentioned, as far as like rarer bikes and things like that, there's always going to be a lot of things I imagine don't fit under the standard kind of remit of an HD certified approved used bike. If it's a 15-year limit for that tagline, but then there are a lot of bikes that come beyond that.
Yeah.
I guess you're still conveying exactly the same standards as an HD certified approved used bike, but for anything that comes through the door.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the certified is, like you say, to a limit.
Yeah.
And we as a dealer obviously go through the channels of claiming for, parts that may fail, etc. When we go older than that, we're buying from the heart, and we cherish the bikes, and we refurbish the bikes, and we do what's right to the level of Sykes to be able to hand it over. And I have sold a lot of older bikes before. I'm not talking about old pans and knuckles and shovels, but old twin cams and things that didn't go under the warranty, and we've put a Sykes warranty on them and said, look, if you have problems, you call us, we'll sort it out. And that's a gamble, but that's how passionate we feel about what we're selling, and that makes us different as well, I guess, because we cover all areas.
Pride in your workmanship and everything, regardless of what it is. It's like you say, it's that Sykes stamp, I guess, which differentiates us from,
there's a lot of trust there as well.
Yeah.
Customers, you've got to have build a relationship and a good rapport and a trust for them to trust that you're going to look after them. And I like that old-fashioned way of doing business, So we have gone prior to the certified line.
What is the oldest bike we've currently got in stock? Pick your brains.
It's probably only a.
Is there an anniversary?
Actually, we've just sold a 1997 Heritage.
Nice, good.
Which is
bike.
Refurb to it extreme. Yep. So where were we?
Well, it depends how well I cut this back in again. So for everybody at home, we've just had a slight oversight in that the battery ran out on the camera. That's my fault, Mr. New Podcaster. I guess to summarise,
we were talking about the Evo. But
we were talking about the Evo.
We might have that. If we haven't,
we'll have to find out.
That can be a podcast. Did the Evo make it?
Did the Evo make it to Italy over the Dolomites? Yeah, maybe we'll do that next time. So if I do actually manage to find that we can cut that in, or we're just now sat here talking to you about a bike that you have no idea about, again, the glitz and glamour of us trying to get podcasts. But so just to summarize then, I think this conversation was just about trying to get an understanding that we can convey to our customers as to what we do from an HD certified approved use perspective. But I guess we would like to know what, for anybody listening at home, what are your expectations? What do you think you should get from a HD dealer when you go and buy an HD certified approved used bike? Is it a case that you want to see all that detail that Steve has mentioned? Is there enough in there that you're kind of happy to say, well, look, it's got the age on it. There are going to be certain things that as expectations. Or if you come in with that mindset and you see a bike that is immaculate, do you then actually raise your expectations? And then is that going to be different when you go elsewhere? I mean, we'd love to know what people think and what you want to know when it comes to an HD certified approved used bike. So I think it's been good to pick Steve's brain on this one. I think we can pretty much wrap it up from there, I guess. I think we've had a good old chat, unless there's anything else that you want to drop in there that you don't think we've covered.
No, I mean, I think I've got this off my chest. I was going to I was communicating with Matt Laidlaw at one point. I said, let's have a chat about this. It was just through Instagram messages and that, but it never came to something. But I think it's a good subject. And for me, it's a subject that I'm just interested in, like, talking to customers or potential customers about.
Well, I guess when it's your bread and butter of what you do from a dealership, there's always going to be passion. And I think that resonates with the amount of bikes that we've got in stock, the quality of the bikes that we've got in stock, and that people keep coming back to us. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, as they say. So
very much true.
If there are any details that listeners at home you want to know, if there's any questions or anything, whether it be regarding HD certified approved used bikes or just Sykes in general, Harley in general, please do send them in, let us know, email us, call us, Instagram us. We can do carrier pigeons if you're so way inclined, but we'd love to hear what you guys think. We'd love to hear what you want to see from future episodes as well. So if there are specifics as far as the Harley industry, certain bikes, releases, whatever that may be, you guys as our listeners and our viewers on YouTube, it's you that we do these podcasts for. Although it's me and Steve, a lot of the time chatting here. We will be, of course, getting more guests coming in. But yeah, let us know, everybody. If you did want to stay in touch with us as far as seeing what the latest editions of our HD certified approved used bikes are, you can find us at sykeshd.com, regular updates to the website. You can also sign up to our newsletter. So we do regular updates as well of our new editions. Save you the hassle of keep coming back to the website. If you do want to come back to the website, absolutely perfect. But as we say, please do let us know. We'd love to hear from everybody to see what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see from future episodes. So again, reach out to us. But I guess we can wrap that one up for this episode. I've just got to get my script back up again, see if I can trip over the last few bits.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in and listening to my waffle.
It's fun, isn't it? I think the initial first couple with Josh coming on board as well, we're still kind of in our infancy. So again, if there's specific people that you want to see me chat to, if you want to see someone else in the guest seat, throw it out there. Steve dodged a bullet this time of not having to do the Hogmaster quiz, which you got 3 out of 5 if memory serves. Josh got easier questions, so he's got one up on you. Maybe I'll do like easier ones next time. So as I said, that wraps things up for this episode of the Knuckles Up podcast. Thank you to everybody at home for listening or watching. Thank you again to Steve for being my guest for this episode.
Thank you, Elliot.
As mentioned, the Knuckles Up podcast drops new episodes usually on the last Friday of the month. Normal service will resume eventually. You can watch and subscribe over on the Sykes H-D YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you again, everybody, for listening. He's Steve from you can't even get the end. Look, I might have to cut that in. This is Steve Willis from Sykes Harley-Davidson. I've been Elliot from Sykes H-D, and we will see you in the next episode. Cheers.